Well, I'm going to get started and I'm going to screen share a couple of slides that I've put together to tell you a little bit about our certificate program in educational assessment. I do want this to be interactive, so if you have questions along the way, you should feel free to use the chat function or just interrupt me and ask your question, and I'm happy to stop and explain things further. As with any program, it's really about fit, right? So we want to make sure that that your needs are being met by the kind of the program that we've designed. And if there's any way for me to go into more depth or communicate that in some way, please just let me know, and I'm very happy to do it. So here we go. I'm going to screen share. Okay, so this is the program that we've designed, the Graduate Certificate in Educational Assessment. To give you some background, this is my 20th year in education. I started as a 5th grade teacher right out of college, and I worked in Elizabeth Public Schools for most of my K-12 teaching career. And now this is my 10th, almost going to be 11th year at the university now. And my research is completely in classroom assessment. So it's in the kinds of assessments that teachers create and use in their classrooms. And I investigate how teachers create assessments, how they use information from assessments for instructional decision-making, how administrators can support teachers' creation of valid assessments that give really nuanced information about student thinking, and how they create the organizational structures that support data use for teachers. So all of that has kind of laid the groundwork for this certificate program. And let me tell you a little bit about it. Okay. So this is my contact information. If you have any questions, afterwards we get off the call and you think, oh, I really should have asked that. Here's my email, and I'm very responsive and happy to get back to you and answer any questions that you have. Here is our agenda for today. I'm going to give a brief overview of the program. I'm going to talk a little bit about the curriculum and our learning objectives. I'll answer some administrative and procedural questions about the application process, and then there's formal time for question and answers. But like I said, please, if you have anything that's burning at the moment, interrupt me. Okay, so the goal in this program is really to prepare teachers and educational leaders to have expertise in classroom assessment processes. We do look in a couple of the classes at New Jersey SLA data and how to interpret that data for unit level and school level instructional decisions. But our main focus in the program is to talk about the kinds of assessments that teachers use every day in their classroom: pre-assessments, formative assessments, end of unit assessments, assessments of non-cognitive factors like motivation or interest to make decisions about student learning and performance. So what we hope is that you'll gain a host of practical knowledge and skills so that you can engage in valid and ethical assessment practices, or you can support those kinds of practices if you're in an administrative role, and that you know a variety of assessments, what their purpose is, what they're used for, how to interpret and summarize data from those assessments to make decisions, and how to start crafting educational policy that builds on the kind of expertise that we're talking about here. We are the first and only program in New Jersey in educational assessment. So I think that we are really breaking ground in an area that teachers repeatedly report that they have struggled with in their own classroom practice. And we hope that that means that it creates a need then for people out in K-12 communities. So it is a 3-course program, okay? And there are a lot of different ways that you can fulfill the 3-course requirement. Our courses are generally offered, sometimes there's exceptions, but the general rule is that they are in 8-week blocks. They run once a semester for 8 weeks, usually the first 8 weeks of the semester in the fall, the spring, and the summer. And they are all available online. Some of them are asynchronous, some of them are synchronous, depending on how the course works, but the information about that is always available. I would say that most of the courses here run asynchronous, but have opportunities for check-in chats and things like that in order to build that relationship between the instructor and students. So the courses generally address like foundational understandings of assessment. Then if you go down to 578, it talks about how you create different kinds of assessments. 524 says, how do you take the information from those assessments to make decisions? And then 533 says, let's step back and kind of consider the historical, political, and ethical foundations of assessment. So there are a number of courses that you can use to fulfill the foundations to assessment content. We would talk about that if you got accepted in the program. We would figure out where you are in your current understanding of assessment and whether that foundational course is needed, or if you can jump already to one of the more higher level classes. Okay, and all the courses are 3 credits. The program, we have a special pricing agreement with the university for this program. So we are able to offer the courses at a discounted rate of $1,500 per course, which is about $500 per credit. So that's a big savings in terms of what other courses usually cost. And so that means that the entire program would be $4,500. So here are our learning objectives. I'm not going to talk through all of these. You can certainly read them yourself, and I'm happy to share my slides with you. You can also go on our website, and there's a link to a video of me explaining all of these. So if you have extra time and you'd like to learn more about each of one of these, you're more than welcome to. But they talk about the learning objectives that come out of each of the courses. And again, they fall into those 3 buckets of, how do I create assessments? How do I use these assessments? And what is this larger context around assessment that we find ourselves in K-12 education? So who are we looking for in terms of the ideal candidate for the assessment program? We want somebody that really wants to develop their expertise in this area. We're looking for people who are open-minded, who really want to stretch their knowledge and their skills related to assessment, and who are going to bring creative solutions to the kind of problems that we're facing with trying to represent student learning in somewhat discrete ways. Generally, the people who are in our program are either people who are students who intend on becoming teachers. So we have ones that have, might be like in a 5-year MAT program, and they've graduated from their bachelor section, but are still completing their 5th year, and they take our courses. We have lots and lots and lots of K-12 teachers from around the country, and we actually now have 2 international students, which is great. It's really giving us, it's livening up the classes with the diversity of different perspectives. We have our 2nd largest group of students is definitely school administrators. We have a lot of people who are looking to kind of develop these skills in others. And so to do that, they need to first know the skills themselves. We have lots of school counselors in the program. And then we just started recently having assessment coordinators who are in higher education, who are taking these courses in order to help with accreditation kind of assessments and things like that. So we really have a nice diversity of students in our classes, and they all work really nicely together for the most part. So if you're ready to apply, the application process is really easy. All that we're going to require is your transcripts. You have to have earned a bachelor's degree, and then for you to fill out the application. So we don't require essays or letters of recommendation, anything like that. We're really just want people who want to take the, want to be a part of the program and have, a general level of competence in terms of their prior academic achievements.